So, the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. What does that mean? When expectation is cut short, every time you expected something and it didn't turn out as expected, it says your heart is injured. The physical heart, okay, is what does blood circulation in the body. But when the Bible refers to the heart, when the scriptures refer to it, it's referring to the human spirit. That heart's function, the physical organ that does that is the womb. Your heart is where you incubate. In other words, that's where substance is formed for life. It's in your heart. So every time you expect and you get wounded, you become an incapable person for life. Do you understand? Somebody who cannot conceive life, who cannot take on life. Do you understand? Some of us have dreams that we have outgrown. You know, the more you grow up, the less capable you have of dreaming. When you were much younger, what would you be? You could pick 10 different professions. Something in you knew it was okay. As you grew up, there's this I beg you. That thing is your hope, your world shrinking. Your capacity to expect reducing until as long as you eat in the morning and the afternoon, you can sleep well. Because really, there's nothing that is disappointing you. Do you understand? And if hope is deferred, it says the heart is sick. But yet it tells us that guide your heart because out of it are the outcomes of life. It's saying that it is not life that made your heart sick. It's your heart that makes life wrong. Do you understand that? It's not the outcomes that did this to you. It's you that affected the outcomes. That when your expectations didn't happen, it's your heart that caused it. Okay, for example, let's take that. When you write an exam, that's action, right? The result of the exam is outcome, right? But when you write the exam, that's action. That's output. What makes output work? Input. Before you can give, you must have received. So if I'm expecting a good result, I know I must take the exam. That's the action. But for me to do this exam well, I must input. I must find out the subject of the exam and go and put it in. So that on the exam day, I will do it well, then I can expect a great outcome. So, if I don't do all of this and I'm expecting, I'm in for a disappointment and my heart will be sick nonetheless. But I will now say, these people, they mark person anyhow. This thing I'm saying now can be true. I can finish all of my input, put it in very well, and output very well, and a madman can just lose the script. And they say you really failed. Do you understand? That can also be true. But that depends on who is responsible for your outcomes. Who have you partnered with for outcome? Because it says, Paul sows, Apollo watered. God is responsible for my outcomes. God guarantees my outcomes. So I'm in charge. This is my partnership with God. This is why I need a God to partner with. Someone has to guard the outcome side. So there's a point where you are done all you have done and then you wait on God for outcomes. And then you receive a call. You've been invited to do this at so place. Outcomes. Outcomes. So before you talk about the results you are expecting, go back to inputs. For this kind of result that I want. And that is why when we're talking about hope now, we're talking about outcomes. What kind of outcomes are you expecting to have in your life? Go back and review. This is my life. What am I expecting? Some people sleep in the night, wake up in the morning, no expectations whatsoever. And okay, no, it's not possible. Nothing whatsoever. It's just that they are stupid expectations. You hope that somebody will pay your fare today. What an expectation. This is the thing God is supposed to be working on with you. To get somebody to pay the fare. Do you know how big this world is that God created? And to think that after creating it, do you know how big this world is? Some of us have never seen valleys and mountains. Have you seen the gardens of the world? The wonders of the world? If this world was so big, God created it, looked at it, and it was good, and He put me on one part of it, brother, I plan to navigate it. I plan to see it. I plan to travel around the world. I expect to.